As it's a new season, a new look, but the same drivers that we've been seeing for the past 2 seasons. It's time for Season 3 to see what that of the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series is gonna bring us. Cedric Hunter's gonna have an opportunity to drive it down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it. Miami 225 is all for Hello Kitty. Cedric Hunter becomes the first driver this season to become a multi-time winner. Tom Ford's not close enough. Winning, it's Nick Crawford here at Bristol. Ethan Smith, he's down low at the quarter panel. He can't spin him. Danny wins. A great drive from Mark Whitley. The 77 is back to victory lane in the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series.
Able to hold back GT Azari. It's going to be the 13 of Cedric Hunter, though, winning tonight here for the Larry Zarks Productions 130.
Up front, it's the teammates. They were strong at the beginning. They keep it strong at the end. Mark Whitley, Jonathan Smith, 1-2. Booking his ticket to the round of 8. Danny Cochran wins here at Road America. And back at the cutoff race for the round of 16. Well, he's got a little bit of traffic in front of him. It's his marks, the 77 of Mark Whitley. Give him the win, and as well, give him the record books for 4. He has been fighting. He's shown strength on the long run, but as for seeing that of Mark Whitley and others taken out, it has been all the 13. Lock him into the final 4. Cedric Hunter, win number 4 of the season. Next, he's trying to move up to 5th place. He's got to pass that of 6 different drivers. Ollie Fonseca going to be diving it down low. Not close enough. It's your right brand white flag. Mark Whitley holds on for now. John Forbes just not able to move forward. Mark Whitley, will he be tapped? He gets bumped by Ollie. John Forbes is wall riding. John Forbes is trying. It won't work. Mark wins. At turn number 4, they're 3 wide behind. At turn 4, they're going to be right on the bumper. Side by side to the line. They're 3 wide for the championship. Your Season 3 champion is... It is set, it is ready, it is the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series Season 3 finale race here tonight, as Season 3 certainly had its highs, its lows, the great rivalries, the drama, but it's time for us to see how the drivers are going to be set as we are done with qualifying. The drivers are gritting up, and it's time for us to call a championship race. We're excited to give you the coverage here on FreekyFast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall. And Zach, what a season. It is coming to a conclusion now.
That it has been, man. It's been an amazing season all the way up to this point, and this is where it all concludes here at the Phoenix Raceway. And this track, it's notorious for some great races, so we'll get to see who our true champion is here tonight.
As the drivers, again, are getting gridded up, 140 laps here this evening for these drivers. We got our stage break at lap 65. No fast repairs, 4 extra sets of tires in pit road to work with. Fuel shouldn't be an issue, but this is where the drivers will start here tonight. One of our Championship 4 drivers getting the pole award. It's Mark Whitley in the 77. That will be his 10th career pole, extending his pole length that he's had for this career in the ISRC Truck Series. Second place is going to be GT Irizarry. Second of our Championship 4 drivers is going to be Nick Crawford in third. Third of our Championship drivers is going to be Nick Crawford. Going to be that of Cedric Hunter in fourth. Cody Reed's going to be in fifth. That of Anthony Gaudio 6th. 7th is going to be Logan Breakey. John Forbes in 8th. 9th is Martin Morales. And Christopher Norris finishing out our top 10.
In the 11th position, it's going to be the 8 of Noah Steele. 12th is going to go to Tyler Dingler. 13th is going to be our final of our final 4 contenders. That's Danny Cochran with a tough qualifying there back in 13th. 14th is going to go to Nolan Hicks. 15th is going to be the 24 Ali Fonseca. 16th, Ethan Smith. 17th, Trenton Jump. 18th is Joshua Frieda, and 19th is Eric Stamp, as that rounds out our field here tonight.
As drivers are moving along, that is going to be our starting grid. As gotta say, Zach, Championship 4 drivers, Mark Whitley, Nick Crawford, that of Cedric Hunter, Danny Cochran, all very strong contenders. We're about to go green. What are your thoughts before we get ourselves rolling here tonight?
Well, I'll tell you what, man, we got a stage at lap 65. The drivers need to make their race to that point and then figure out where they're at that point, and then they'll figure out how they need to do the rest of this race. But track position is going to be so key here to start this race off.
Danny Cochran's been feeling confident all week long. A poor qualifying run sets him all the way back in 13th. Up front, watch out. It's time to get rolling, as it is time for the FreekyFast finale of the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. We're green for the championship race.
Just like that, they start already all going down the dogleg, and GT is going down into the track. And luckily, it looks like nobody gets hit by that. Maybe
Tyler Dangler's got to be involved. In the back half, that's going to bring out the yellow. Nolan Hicks as well. And what a spectacular way to start out the championship race. GT goes flipping and spinning to bring out this yellow. The 19 also, I believe, might have been the initial reason for the yellow being thrown. But that is the chaos of the dogleg. Zach, we weren't able to really touch on it that much, but that dogleg showing why it is a dangerous place already to start this race off.
Wow, what a moment here to start it all off, Sam. And here's the FreekyFast instant replay. I'm not sure if he got a little bit of help or if it was just the dogleg, but down the racetrack and down into the car below him, and that flips him over. That is wild to see here at these speeds, a rollover like that. But luckily, I think everybody of our Final Four all make it through cleanly. That was a wild moment to start all of this off.
Looking back from my end, it looked like there was contact from Cedric Hunter to the back bumper of that of GT Arizari that initially got him spun around, and then drivers are trying to avoid this flipping and spilling 14 machine. And for GT, that is not the way he wanted this season to start out here for the last race. Here at Phoenix for the 14 machine, you see the beaten and battered 14. We'll see how well he can recover. As for himself, no required damage flag. It's a black flag with an orange circle that's given to drivers, indicating that you are forced to come to pit road. Was not given to the 14. He's able to continue to run on, but into pit road to get some service done is that of the 14 machine.
Oh, wild moments already here at Phoenix, and this is going to be a tense one here now, as the Final Four contenders all made it through that incident and kind of unscathed for all of them. So that's a huge moment, but yeah, tough for GT Arizari there in that 14 as he gets the contact from the 13 to the back bumper, and it turns that 14 around. So already a wild start. I don't know if this preludes to what we might see the rest of the night, but it is definitely going to be one of those races that we're just going to have to always wait till that last lap to actually see what is going to go down, because Phoenix, it can bite you at any point.
Any moment at all, and Zach touched on it, track position being such a key thing for these drivers to worry about. I mean, that also could be the reason why we saw that drama-filled start. I mean, we were only able to get to the dogleg, not even turn one, and drivers were having their issues, but it seemed like throughout the week, drivers were truly practicing their restarts, and right there showed why you need to have a perfect restart for yourself.
Yeah, it really does show that. I mean, you know, in that dogleg, it's just very treacherous. You know, it's much more, it's flat down there pretty much. You kind of want to go down there to cut it and get the shorter distance, especially in these trucks. These trucks have a lot lower horsepower than the rest of the stock cars that we race. And when you have that lower horsepower, you want to take the shortest distance possible to your line just to shorten that distance up, because these trucks just don't get up to speed like a lot of the other stock cars do. And man, it really bit there, as that could have been devastating to a lot of drivers. GT was the one that really got caught out in it, but I'll have to see if he can rebound from it here, because like you said, didn't get that required damage flag, but that thing went tumbling. So very surprised to see that personally from that truck being in that style of condition.
I mean, you don't expect to see a driver flip here at Phoenix, but you just got to see it there of the 14. Not even one lap in officially, but we are pacing. We're officially on that lap 5. Lights are off for these drivers, so it's time for us to get back to green flag racing. We got our final 4 drivers all here tonight. That of Mark Whitley's going to be in the lead. Nick Crawford's going to be in second. Cedric Hunter's going to be starting on the outside for row number 2 and 4th. But really, Zach, that 31 machine, Danny Cochran's still all the way back in 12th place. He got one position because of GT's issues. He's got to try to see what this restart can get for him.
Yeah, that took away some laps for him to try to make up spots here, getting to that lap 65 stage. So that's tough already right there to start it off. But man, we'll have to figure out how he can get through it, because he got through it. That's the biggest thing.
Well, we got to see one madness restart. Let's see how this restart's going to go for these drivers. It's Mark Whitley, Nick Crawford, Cedric Hunter, that of Cody Reed, John Forbes, as well as Anthony Gaudio going to be your top 6. We're back to Green Flag Racing here at Phoenix. The 77, a great launch for himself, but it's going to be side by side for second and everywhere around. It's a madhouse as they head down into turn number 1.
That they are. It's a madhouse indeed. I think we're having some technical difficulties here right now, guys. So we're trying to sort that all out, but we're giving you the live call here as what is going on as they head down the back straightaway. Mark Whitley with about a 5 truck length gap at the moment.
Yes, again, technical difficulties. Drivers are green. We're on lap 6, coming to lap 7. Drivers single filing out all the way through the track. As for drivers that are trying to make some big passes, it's back in 9th place where Danny Cochran's trying to make some moves forward. He is now up to 9th, able to make some big moves, up 4 spots on that restart. Everyone up front still single filed out. That of Mark Whitley, Cody Reed, that of Nick Crawford, John Forbes, Cedric Hunter, and Anthony Gaudio is your top 6 all in line, and everyone else still trying to figure out where they want to be.
Yeah, we'll see if Mark Whitley can do what he normally does. He usually gets out to these leads, and it's kind of a game over from that point. So I think the rest of the competition, seeing what is going down with this 77 already, they know what can happen. And they're going to have to be paying attention to that all night long. But it's going to be that Danny Cochran car there in that 29 machine. He's going to, or sorry, the 31 machine, trying to make his way forward. Already up to 9th here to start this run off. And next up on his list is Noah Steele.
It's the championship race. There are 4 drivers hunting for the championship. That's Mark Whitley, Nick Crawford, Cedric Hunter, and Danny Cochran. The goal, it's not about points. It's about your finishing position. As a yellow flag comes out, it's going to be contact between Christopher Norris and a few other drivers, bringing out our second caution of the day. As for up front, Mark Whitley still leads this race as drivers are slowing down and getting ready to catch up to the pace car.
Yeah, everybody getting caught up to that pace car, and I can say that incident there, it looked like it was contact between Ethan Smith and Christopher Norris and Martin Morales. They're kind of the innocent bystander and all that. He just had nowhere to go, plowed right into the door of the 38, and that's a good bit of damage on that number 91 machine. But again, the biggest thing, no required damage flag, so he'll be able to get that thing worked on pit road and not have to wait too long to get it all fixed up. But wild start already, and we're going to get him back re-racked here as we're working on our issues in the background.
Yes, we know that what we're calling is not officially live. We are trying to work on our technical side for having to fix our issue. We are trying to give you the calls live from what Zach and I are talking about, as we know the video footage is delayed from what we should be seeing. So we're trying to get this situated, but that is our second caution of the day that has come out. Christopher Norris is going to be heavily involved with that one, as well as Mark Morales Jr. And for our championship 4 drivers, that of Mark Whitley, he's leading the race. He's in first place. Second championship 4 driver Nick Crawford is in 3rd. Our 3rd championship driver is in 5th place. That's Cedric Hunter. And our final driver, that of Danny Cochran, a very poor qualifying run. He qualified back in 13th. He's moved up 4 positions and up to 9th place. As drivers are going into pit road to get service done, we are under pacing at this current moment as Mark Whitley is leading the way up front with Cody Reed, Nick Crawford, your top 3.
Yeah, great start already for Mark Whitley. He loves to lead up front. I think that gives him the best shot available, no doubt. Is we'll see how it all shakes out for the rest of the night. And I think the drivers here really on this early caution, these early 2 cautions, not going to look to waste a set of tires up front. They are not looking to come down the pit road anytime soon with having 4 tires in the pit road box. So we'll have to see how that works out for them the rest of the night with strategy. But yeah, I did a little bit of practicing myself this week just to get in tune with the truck, and yeah, the fall off is very interesting. It seems like about the first 15 to 20 laps, you do have a considerable amount of fall off, but once you get to that point, it does seem like it starts to even out if you can do a good job of keeping those tires in a good state. So we'll see which driver's able to do that once we get back going green.
As the drivers are trying to get set up, it's going to be that of Mark Whitley and Cody Reed up front. Pace car lights are still on. They're going to pace for another lap for these drivers. Here's a rundown of where the drivers are at currently. First place, Mark Whitley. Second is Cody Reed. Nick Crawford is going to be in 3rd. 4th is John Forbes. Cedric Hunter is going to be in 5th place with Anthony Gaudio. 6th. 7th is Logan Breakey. Noah Steele is going to be in 8th. 9th is Danny Cochran. And finish out your top 10 is going to be that of Ollie Fonseca. And Zach, still a lot of other drivers further on back that are dealing with some damage.
Yeah, drivers definitely having to deal with that damage from these early few wrecks. Martin Morales involved in that latest one, the 91 machine. I'm just surprised how well GT Rosari is able to drive after flipping here in the first lap here of this race. So it's definitely shook things up a little bit with those first 2 cautions, but you know, this is to be expected in my opinion here when you come to Phoenix. Phoenix is a tough track, and it does seem to breed a lot of cautions. So we'll have to see how that kind of falls through the rest of the night. You know, we'll just have to stay on top of it, as they would say. So we'll see who can try to produce the most speed.
Thank you for everyone joining us here this evening. I know we are trying to make sure that everything is figured out. Currently, we're having some technical issues on the backside of things, but we are currently on lap number 13. Pace car lights are off, so we are about to get back to green flag racing here very shortly. Up front, it's Mark Whitley, that of Cody Reed, Nick Crawford, that of John Forbes and Cedric Hunter. Your top 5 about to get rolling as you are watching the FreekyFast finale. This is the last race of the season. We got 4 drivers hunting for a championship. Mark Whitley in first, Nick Crawford in third, Cedric Hunter in 5th, and that of Danny Cochran back in 9th place. A lot of racing still to go. Our stage break is at lap 65 as we are about to go back to green flag racing, coming up to that lap 4 of 140. Against that our stage break is on lap 65. Drivers know that it is a technical issue on your screen, but we are officially green. Mark Whitley gets a great launch. Nick Crawford's going to be to the inside of Cody Reed as they go through the dog leg. All drivers scattering around. The 77 makes it through as we're side by side for second place between the 4 and the 25.
Yeah, this 25 right here trying to hold off the 4 machine. The 4 knows he needs to stay in touch with that 77 if he wants a shot at the rest of this race. But yeah, it's definitely a tough break here as the 25 they're racing hard, trying to hold that position. I mean, that's going to be the thing. You know, this is different than normal sports where, you know, when you're at a championship event, you're just against that other championship opponent. You got other competitors out here tonight with this style of racing.
As we are now on lap 15, Mark Whitley is trying to pull away. It's that of Nick Crawford side by side with that of Cody Reed. Not able to get by. Cody Reed will make the pass and secure second place. Crawford will fall to third. Cedric Hunter is now moved up to 5th, but he is being pressured by John Forbes side by side into turn number 3. The 13 lets him go and falls to 5th. Danny Cochran up 2 positions from that restart. He's now up to 7th place as Logan Breaky now trying to make the charge for 5th.
Yeah, everybody's making a lot of charges right now, and this is going to be the thing. What do you want to do with your tires? Again, like I said, they even out so much that you really got to be careful with how you go out there and, you know, push the tires. If you do too much, you can see more considerable fall, but if you don't do enough, you're just going to give up time. That's going to be tough to gain back once everything starts to even out with all the field.
As again, Mark Whitley leading the way. He is pulling away from everyone else. Cody Reed in second place, Nick Crawford in third. Fourth is John Forbes with Cedric Hunter in 5th, and Danny Cochran in 6th place. Everyone's starting to single file out. That is a great charge by the 31 of Danny Cochran. He is now back in the fight. Qualified 13th, up 7 positions from the start of this race. Big kudos as on screen, know we are having some technical issues as we are about a lap back behind from what is actually live going on right now. Drivers are starting now that of lap 18 of 140. We're driving to that of lap 65 as up front it is all single file for our tops at 7.
Yeah, all single file here already as this run has started out. And I tell you what, the big mover though, of course, already the 31 machine of Danny Cochran, he's really climbed his way already up into position, and it looks like we may be getting some of these issues figured out here. As it looks like our program is finally working with us, guys, so sorry about that, as we're still, I believe, a lap behind here with the live, so we might have to try to catch up to that, but it is all shaking out here. Very interesting as Danny Cochran is, I came from, we are now live. Everything should be good, and there you see Danny Cochran in the 13 and Cedric Hunter racing side by side.
Hey, we're coming back at a great time as Danny Cochran trying to make the pass for 5th place. He has been on the charge, on the move, but is this too much tire wear? This was the issue 2 weeks ago at Indianapolis for the 31. He was pushing too hard on these tires, but Zach, this might be the right formula for tonight's race. It might be the fact that you need to use up these tires early on to keep that track position for later in this race.
I completely agree with you there, Sam. Like I said earlier, the fall off is, you know, there is some fall off in the tires, but it seems like once you get to about that, 28-second bracket of lap time around here, it just kind of stays in that area. You might drop a few more tenths after that, but it's not too considerable. So I like what Danny has already done. He knows that there's a stage crossing at lap 65. go up here, get as much track position as you possibly can, and get rid of that bad qualifying result, because you're going to need to have some very good track position if you want to battle for this championship. As you see already, he's done a great job to climb his way all the way back up to the back bumper of John Forbes here, and Cedric Hunter behind him. He's falling back, so it looks like he may be deploying a little bit of more saving tire strategy. I know he actually told me before this race that was going to be his worst thing, is he just did not have the short run speed that a lot of these guys possess.
Will he find that little bit of extra oomph to try to make the push forward, as Danny Cochran up another spot, up 9 spots from where he started. Again, big thank you to the audience for being patient with us as we are done with our technical issues. At the moment, we are at live footage showing you what's going on. We're on lap 22. Mark Whitley is leading the way with almost a second lead over Cody Reed. Nick Crawford's holding steady, but Danny Cochran once again trying to close in the gap to crack into the top 3.
Yeah, and from what I'm seeing from him, he is using everything that truck has. He's entered all the way up into third lane, cutting down there, getting a little bit sideways on the entry of these corners even, and that's most likely due to them running the brake bias pretty far back here. I mean, it's very likely to do. You really want to run it far back here just to help the front turn of this truck when you put those brakes to the rear. So you'll see a lot of guys possibly getting into the corner a little bit sideways, but that's to help that front turn as they go through the rest of the corner.
I mean, Danny Cochran coming into tonight, one of the veterans of this series. He's been here since season 1. He's missed out on the Final Four in season 1. Season 2, he made the Final Four, and now trying to get that championship in season 3. Some great battling deeper in the field you see on screen, as that of Ollie Fonseca battling with that of the 3 machine of Anthony Gaudio. But on screen, Logan Brakey, who's missed a couple of weeks, he's battling with Ethan Smith, which, I gotta say, this playoffs, Ethan just missing out on making that of the Final Four, was intentionally taken out by that of Trenton Jump last week. That got both drivers disqualified. It's 00 racing with a lot of ego here tonight, trying to prove that if he was in the Final Four, he was a driver to watch out for.
Yeah, I think that's the way you got to go about it. I mean, if you're one of those drivers that got knocked out and didn't, have the chance to come here and compete for the championship, because of the last 2 races before didn't work out the best for you, you'll come out here and prove that, hey, I would have had a shot for this championship. I would have been right in the mix. So I think that's what the 00 is looking to do tonight, as he has now cleared that 29 and will look to try to close into the drivers up ahead of him. Cedric Hunter would be the next on the list for him, but already the start of this race just showing it's going to be tough to pass. You're going to have to work over somebody to get it done, and it's going to take a few laps to try to make that happen.
I was watching some drivers throughout the week practicing on the long run, how they wanted to try to save tires, battle with one another, and it just seemed like it was only the first 15 laps when you were able to make some major moves and passes. After that, it was just so difficult with the aero, being able to block drivers, as well as just the tire wear being so difficult. Drivers are going to have to evolve throughout the night, as our stage break is at a lap 65. It's going to be a quick race. These drivers got to be focused, as those up front ahead of this 00 starting to battle with one another. That John Forbes, Cedric Hunter battling for 5th place. What are you seeing, Zach?
The Ford just got put into the wall. That was contact between him and Cochran. So Cochran just drove his way up into position. He just caught the left rear of the Ford machine, put him right up into the wall. And I think it was just really 2 drivers going for the same space. The 31 was almost to the quarter panel, and the Ford just looked like he wanted to keep coming down the racetrack. So maybe it was somewhat of a racing incident, but that is major damage on the Ford, and I think that is going to possibly even ruin his night.
He's going to need now catastrophic moments to strike that of the 77 and also all the other playoff contenders at this point. Nick Crawford coming in as a rookie. He thought he was going to be one of the biggest threats to watch out for, and he was staying patient, just letting the race come to him. Well, throw it out the window. Too much damage to really handle with. He's going to need this stage break to come up quickly. And also for that, the Ford machine, he's driving so off the pace, Zach. He's got to be careful of going a lap down. That could be a misery that he could not handle with. Going a lap down here at this type of a race where we're seeing drivers have a long run. This is going to be terrible for the 4, as we see his teammate Cedric Hunter 4th place just got to be the biggest viewer of that madness.
Yeah, that is definitely going to shake things up, and I think exactly what you said, Sam, the pace that the 4 is running right now, he is going to be in jeopardy of going a lap down here before lap 65, so he's going to have to do his best here to try to keep up. But I'm telling you, that truck right now, looking at the right front, as you can see on board with him, it is destroyed. The splitter is hurt. It is going to be a tough night for him here, and he's going to have to try to get what he can fixed up on pit road, and like you said, just try to stay on the lead lap. I mean, that it's going to be tough from here. This kind of shook everything up already in the first 30 laps for this Ford machine.
And I know it's a mental state for a lot of these drivers. You mentally have to be focused and in, but throughout the week, if you're making any joking matters, that could kind of get in the back of your mind and not intentionally do it. But a 31 of Danny Cochran, he was flirting with the thoughts of, well, I might be, you know, if I have to take out the drivers around me, I might have to do it to win a championship. We saw it last season when he was taking out drivers trying to win the championship. He actually took out this 25 of Cody Reed late in the last season's championship. And now he's taken out one of his competitors. It's now basically a 3-driver race to the end of this thing based on the amount of damage Nick Crawford is dealing with.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to get back from that damage. So I think the 4, he's going to have to hope for someone out there to have major issues, as they would say. So we'll see how it works out. But yeah, you know, I went back and looked at the incident. It looked like the 31 just stuck his nose in there right at the moment of entry to the corner. And it looked like the 4 maybe, I don't know if he didn't get the call for not being clear there, but he just came down the racetrack with his angle. And it looks like maybe just a slight bit of contact between those two that sent the 4 just, you know, colliding into the wall, and that really hurt his race truck. But as we jump up to our leader in the 77, Mark Whitley, you can see from his back spoiler here, there is not much to worry about for him right now. Danny Cochran has done a great job to drive up the second, but we'll see how this long run goes here. As it looks like the 13 center Hunter, he's back up to 4th, and he's looking to try to close in on the 2 in front of him.
I mean, Zach, we call this a 3 weeks in a row, just dominant fashion of that Mark Whitley. He looked dominant. He won last week. He looked dominant at Indy before he was taken out in a wreck after the stage break. Then Mark Whitley dominated that at Nashville Fairgrounds. This 77's been on a roll, practically a 4-week showing of he looks to be the favorite driver. Missed out last season, took a season off, but he was one of the biggest rivals in season 1, was looking to win the inaugural season of the ISRC Truck Series. And now trying to get that redemption this season. That's been his goal ever since coming back. And this 77 is looking good so far.
Yeah, definitely looking good. And it's been a weird season kind of for him, in my opinion. You know, he has had kind of peaks and valleys, as they would say. And it's definitely been a peak here in the playoffs. So I mean, that's the best time to peak. You know, this is when you should get your best. So he's definitely picked the right time to do it, but his season didn't really start off the greatest. You know, he had to do a couple starting parks first of all, but some races just didn't seem like it was there for the 77 like he had there in season 1. But he has just flipped a switch here in the last half of the season, and it's just really turned up the notches when it comes to pace, especially. He's had just excellent pace, and the big thing is, you know, normally we see drivers that pull out to these type of gaps. At some point, they do start to suffer from that gap they pull out, but he's just consistently, you know, able to put down the lap times that he needs to, even by opening up a gap and kind of, as they would say, burning up the tires.
I would say Danny Cochran up 11 positions from where he started. This 31 obviously did not have the qualifying run that he wanted, but he was looking to be the fastest truck on track until he made contact with the 4, where I think that kind of took him off of his rhythm and is trying to resettle in. I mean, that's a difficult thing, especially over the radio. Danny Cochran, very much apologetic of that incident, was apologizing and immediately did not want to make contact with the 4, but being very much emotional in that stage really could throw a driver off.
Yeah, it really can, man. Emotions can play a deep effect on you when you're racing out there. It's a psychological game when you come down to, especially races like this. I know myself competing for Final Four events as a driver. It's kind of, you know, you against the world, as you would say. And it's so tough when you have some type of incident like that happen. It kind of just, it can blind you for a few laps. But you got to go out there and say what is done, and you got to go forward and try to do your best you can to try to drive up into position. And I got to credit the 31 because he's been pretty much matching lap times with the 77, even though having to drive through the field. And that is going to be a good sign for him, in my opinion, if he can keep that up.
These two drivers have been the favorites these last couple of weeks. That 31, the only, you could say, blip the last couple of weeks has been at that of Indianapolis, where he just burned off the tires and was never able to truly recover. But there were so many wrecks that happened, it allowed him to have enough points to go into that in North Wilkesboro feeling confident. But a driver that's trying to make some recovery moves this season has been a rough one. Made the playoffs, made it to that of the round of 12. Cody Reed, he got knocked out of the round of 12, could not make it into the round of 8. He's having a decent run for himself in 3rd. He felt very confident here tonight, but his teammate Ethan Smith back in 6th place. They're also the other Blackjack teammate of John Forbes. This is the first season of the 3 so far in ISRC history. No Blackjack driver made it to the Final 4, but all 3 of them looking strong here tonight.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting stat there, I would say. So definitely, tough for them that they didn't make the Final 4, but once again showing speed that they've shown throughout majority of these seasons. So we'll see if they can get up here and maybe shake up this top 3 here a little bit, as they would say, as we jump back to the farther group here. Looks like Logan Breaky back here in the 29 machine. He's in the 8th position. He's got the 3 of Anthony Gaudio, who, last season he was probably one of the hottest drivers entering the playoffs. Did not get to go into those playoffs just due to missing the races due to other events in his life. So tough for him there, but he hasn't had the greatest season this season, not making many of the races.
Logan Breaky also, he's been out the last couple of weeks, hasn't been feeling well, and the 29 had a very strong opening 15 laps, but obviously burning up those tires, and during practice was stating over the radio, just did not feel comfortable at this track, and I think we're seeing it now of the tire wear really being brutalized, but also this cluster of drivers we're seeing right now, a group of drivers that really I didn't see at any of the practice sessions. I think they might have just showed up and said, let's see what we got for race day.
Yeah, I think that definitely is how it played out for this group right here in these positions. So, yeah, I mean, they had nothing crazy on the line here. It's just kind of a last race. Just go out there, have fun, do what you can, and, see how you can play it out all next season. So we'll have to watch how these drivers take the momentum from tonight into the next season, as it's always going to be fun to call the action here on Monday nights. But, yeah, when you're not one of those drivers involved really in the hunt for that championship, or really even, in the hunt for, a good position there in the championship, you just really want to go out there and have a good ending to your season, have a good time, and not have too much stress to worry about heading into that season. So we'll see how they can make that happen. But here's the 8 of Noah Steele. He was one of the biggest surprises, I'd say, Sam, in this playoffs.
He probably had the best Cinderella story of the whole entire playoffs. He came in, one of the drivers, I was not even sure if he was going to make it out of the round of 16. He made it out of the round of 16, made it out of the round of 12, and almost had a shot to make it out of the round of 8 to battle for a championship, but the clock struck midnight last week, was not able to continue on. But this 8 trying to just have a decent run, but gets into the wall, and that was the struggle for the 8 machine 2 weeks ago at Indianapolis that really put a hamper on any type of chance to make it to the Final 4. And once again, that is a struggle point for a lot of drivers here tonight.
Yeah, it really is a struggle point. And if you get damage like that into the outside wall, it's only going to make that truck handle worse. And, from the laps I did this week, this truck is very, very finicky, man. It does not want to rotate through in the entry to the center. And it seems like sometimes it wants to even over-rotate when you start getting to pushing that nose. So it's tough, especially when you start getting into the wall. It makes it even worse, like I said. So we'll see how Noah can make do with that. But the one thing I've seen so far, it's also very, very tough to pass. It's hard to get up beside somebody, as the line they're running here down into 1 and 2 is very interesting. A lot of times you see people try to stick it to that yellow line, but a lot of the good drivers driving farther up the group, they're really entering almost up into the 3rd lane and just kind of cutting it down from there. And I think that's due to that tighter condition. They're getting slowed down with a straight entry and then trying to get the straightest exit off and help that nose turn. So definitely seeing different variations of it, but it's going to make it very tough to pass when you're running a line like that.
Yeah, trying to do that early diamond motion, it just seems like that is the key to make it through 1 and 2. But, talking about the conditions, how it's so hard to make passes, well, a driver that's about to be passed and hates to see this moment happen. Nick Crawford has been caught by our leader and is most likely going to be passed this lap, the 4, just nowhere to go. But Zach, just because the 4 gets passed by our leader, now he's going to fight like crazy. But now Danny Cochran, who was the driver that put in that of the 4 into the wall, we've seen drivers intentionally wreck. We've seen drivers have issues and settle them on track. Will the 4 try to retaliate here tonight?
I mean, when we see deja vu here in the ISRC Truck Series, I doubt it personally. I don't think you'll see the 4 look to do anything here. I know Nick personally very well, and it just doesn't seem that would be very out of character for him. And if I was a betting man, I would say he's most likely just going to let this 31 by. He might not let him by the easiest, but I think he's not going to go up there and try to ruin his race or nothing. So we'll have to see. I mean, again, drivers in the heat of moment can, change up from what their personality and how they personally act is. So I'm not saying it's out of the realm, but definitely Danny Cochran, I think, is going to be walking a little bit on eggshells here as he goes by that Ford machine, trying to make sure that Ford doesn't do anything to ruin his race.
I know it's hard for the Ford also because he came into this season as a viewer watching season 1 and season 2. In season 2, Danny Cochran had the worst reputation. His team overall started off with his teammate of Jonathan Smith intentionally wrecking Trenton Jump to start out season 2, and then an incident between Danny and Trenton where Danny intentionally wrecked another driver, and now seeing all the carnage. I mean, even go back to season 1, Danny was involved with wrecking his teammate Vincent Sora a couple of times. The 31 has had this reputation of having drivers that he's bumped out of the way on accident or intentionally. But now it's time to see, what will the Ford do? Will he get out of the way? And he does. Rides high, lets Danny go. The respectful play, even though his race is done. Crawford, all he can do is sit and wait and hope that GT Rosari doesn't go a lap down, so Nick can get that lucky dog spot.
Yeah, I think that's going to be in the back of his mind for sure, hoping that 14 doesn't go a lap down. And yeah, the 14's about a straightaway right now ahead of the 77, so I think he should be good to hold off that 77 here, because we're going to be getting very close to that lap 65 stage. And then when that happens, that's when everything, in my opinion, interesting starts to happen, because Danny's kind of been matching, Whitley up front when it comes to the lap times, and it's been a really good run for him so far. And he's had to drive up from 13th, so we get these two side by side. That's where I think it opens the door for someone like Cedric Hunter, even, because it's very, very easy when you're not pressured to go out there and run your laps. But when you have someone like the 31 who's going to look to pressure that 77 here later, he may be looking to, make that move happen. So we'll see if that opens up the door for more drivers to come into the battle. As right now, the 13 Cedric Hunter, he's had a tough time. He's caught up to Cody Reed multiple times. He's been trying to pass this 25, but just hasn't been able to get it done on the bottom side. As the 13 now is actually going to be under threat here from the 11 of John Forbes, who dives it to the inside. And
we're almost about to be 3 wide for a moment there, as that of Nick Crawford stays down on the apron, tries to stay out of the way, but it's the 13th Cedric Hunter absolutely swamped, and it's a rivalry of 2 different teams. You got Snowy Desert Racing and Cedric Hunter with all the Blackjack Racing around him, and Zach, the history of the season, these 2 teams have been hating one another all season long.
Yeah, if you haven't watched the long run, go watch it, because I tell you, you'll get a good glimpse at what these teams think about each other and just the rest of the races this season. I mean, they've definitely had some, bickering moments at each other, as they would say. So, yeah, no love lost here between this group. And the 13, he has been struggling, man. I've been watching him for a moment now, trying to get around this 25, and it just seems like he cannot get anything to work. He gets to the inside, and then the 25 just gets the good run off the corner to clear him, and just not working for this 13, who's seeing his competition drive into the sunset here at Phoenix. And that's a tough thing to deal with here if you're a driver. And he gave up some positions early off the start of this run, to save some tires. I think he might be considering that game plan is probably not the right way to go.
It might not be the right way to go, but I think also Cody Reed's is kind of showing off how much of a defensive menace he can be here at Phoenix. He's running an extreme high line, practically running up against the wall, and then absolutely just lets that of the momentum of trying to go down the banking of this track carry that speed, and he's just allowing himself to have so much more pace as a dive bomb by the 11 of John Forbes, just a little bit too high. He'll get out of the way for his teammate of Ethan Smith for 5th place, but Cody Reed, great defensive driving by himself to hold off this championship contender.
Yeah, this group is really stacked up now, as you got Fonseca also here with the group of, of Smith here, Forbes, and Cody Reed. So we'll see how it works out. But it looks like now Ethan Smith, even he's getting closer to the back bumper of the 13 there, and almost into the 13 there on entry. Had to check it up a little bit there, not to get into him, but we're going to be getting closer to that lap 65 stage here, as it's under 5 to go now. So if I'm that 13, you got to fight for everything here to try to keep as much track position as possible. But I think right now the struggle is set in for him.
And that of Cedric Hunter cannot allow himself to lose any more positions. He needs to find a comfortable zone. Maybe it's a spot where he feels like, all right, this is where I want to be on a restart. But he needs to settle in, find his spot of comfort, because right now of the 3 drivable championship drivers, he is in the worst spot at this moment, being pressured by Ethan Smith, but somehow holds on the outside as the laps continue to tick away. We're on lap 63, stage break at the end of 65, and if you'd like to chime in, who do you think's going to win the championship? Well, we got it in the chat. Mark, who you think? Mark Whitley leading that of who people think's going to win the championship, but I'm not surprised with how dominant he's looking. But that 31 showing some sneaky speed as we got 2 more laps to go for our stage break.
Yeah, I tell you, only 2 laps to go in the stage, but when this stage ends, it's going to get a little bit spicy, folks, because like you said right there, Sam, this 31, he's sneakily just starting to close the gap down here, and that is not what the 77 is going to want to see. I mean, right now I think Mark is probably thinking to himself, you know, I just got to get to lap 65, no mistakes here, don't want to risk anything, so he's probably backed it down just a little bit. But that 31, man, he has been flying, and he had to fly up through the pack. So when he starts on the back bumper, he's going to have a much better shot at this once we get it all back going. This is going to be fun to watch.
Last lap of the stage, Mark Whitley leading the way for the 77, and he is looking good, but at the same time, hoping not to see some deja vu of Indianapolis, that of 2 weeks ago. The 77 at turn number 4, gonna find himself winning the Lariat Production stage break here tonight at Phoenix.
Yeah, great stage. I mean, that was a perfect 65 laps from this 77 machine. I mean, just what we've seen through it with him throughout the whole entire season as we wait for that caution to be thrown. I think our admins might be a little late on that trigger pull, as I think they were waiting actually for 10th to come across the board, but there it finally comes out, and man, what a wild here start to this race with some incidents, but now we all get to re-rack them back up.
Get stack them back up, and for us, we're going to step aside. When we come back, we're going to have more championship racing here for the Season 3 finale of the FreekyFast finale of the ISRC Truck Series. We'll see you in a few as we go side by side.
You wanted the best, you got them for a rest. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws! Dirt Racing will be available September 27th. Pre-order your copy today.
Drivers, start your engines!
4, 3, 2, 1, green screen. No rear grip whatsoever, up sideways. Sideways everywhere. Come on, man, do what you can. The vibration in this car is the worst vibration that I've ever had, and the shifter's broken again.
this is why we have side-by-side action. You didn't miss a thing. Yellow flag is out. Ethan Smith, John Forbes, incident between the teammates as the 11 gets loose, as we are going to be having a caution here tonight. We don't have the replay, but right there, the 11 breaks loose. The 00 makes contact, and Zach, you hate to see it when teammates are involved with wrecks, but with how consistently close they are to one another, if one has an issue, most likely the other one's going to collect it.
Yeah, it took the words right out of my mouth, Sam, there. Yeah, it's one of those things where, if you do have that incident there with your teammate, that incident in front of you with your teammate, it's kind of hard to miss it. That's what Ethan Smith was doing. He was hard on the binders, trying to get that truck slowed down, but just got into that left front of the 11 machine. So it gave him some nose damage, which preferably is the worst part of the damage I'd seen from the trucks we got here. Forbes actually a little bit of left front fender damage for him from that contact, but the center punch right there in the nose on the 00, hopefully for him here, his pit crew can do a good job to work on that, because you don't want to have that damage right there on that nose. It really affects that downforce, and from what I'm seeing, it even affects the splitter a little bit for him, so that's going to really have a huge effect on that downforce for that 00 machine.
As drivers are coming into pit road to get some service done, it's going to be about a handful of drivers deciding to come to pit road. Two of them kind of surprised. That is Cedric Hunter into pit road, and one I shouldn't say is a surprise, but that Nick Crawford also going to be getting some more repairs done for the 4 machine, as this yellow going to be helping out his woes again. The 4 Nick Crawford got put in the wall by Danny Cochran. Both drivers looking for the same real estate, and it was the 4 that got the worst of it, fighting for a championship and now hoping for mistakes from the other championship 4. You see on our ticker, the drivers in blue are our championship 4, and Zach, 2 of them up front, and 2, I would imagine, ready to get racing between one another on this next restart.
Yeah, ready to get racing, no doubt indeed. And, Cedric Hunter there, like you said, hit pit road. I went back and tried to figure out, why was he hitting pit road there? He actually got hit from his teammate of Christopher Norris from Snowy Desert Racing there. That 38 there kind of just plowed right into the back end as everybody checked up. The 38 didn't get the memo fast enough, ran right into the back of the 13. Gave him some pretty good center spoiler damage. I mean, spoiler damage here in iRacing is not too big of an effect in my opinion. It's going to have somewhat of a downforce change for him on the rear end, but it's not going to be something like we've seen with Ethan Smith and John Forbes, who got on the front end, where it's much more valuable to have that clean nose than it is a clean rear end. So we'll see if the damage repairs makes the 13 any better, but he lost a lot of track position out of that now, having to restart back here in 11th. And like you said, also Nick Crawford back there in 17th. He's going to be looking to see what he can make up there after getting that lucky dog.
Luckily for Nick Crawford, he is on the lead lap, so that is the one saving grace for the 4 machine, as no other driver went a lap down once the stage break came out that allowed the 4 to get back on the lead lap. He's been dealing with that damage ever since being put in the wall. But up front, Mark Whitley dominated the stage, and at this point, the 77, certainly no one was touching him, but we looked at the timing, we looked at the laps that were being put down. 31 at Danny Cochran was at times faster than Mark Whitley, or was running equal times. I think this 31 might be a bigger threat than expected for that of Mark Whitley, but I think it's no surprise these two have been dueling back and forth for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, they really have been trading blows, as they would say. So we'll see how it all works out here once we got him back re-racked. I mean, the 31 had to come from 13th up to 2nd. And like you said, he was running times faster than Whitley. This is going to get very, very interesting in my opinion. Got some other drivers up there like Logan Brakey up the 4th now with all this mayhem.
How do the drivers want to attack this restart as they are set up, ready to go? No more stage breaks. It's all about racing it to the end of our 140 laps. We do have overtime if needed, but let's see how this restart's going to go. Into the restart zone as Mark Whitley gets back into the throttle. Danny Cochran's going to be able to slot right in front of the 25, and let's see how this duel's going to go for the front runners.
Yeah, this is huge for the 31. Was able to clear that 25 machine, hold on to the 2nd position. Doesn't have to pass anybody now. He can sit here, figure out how he's going to work over the 77 as this run goes, because from here on out, they can go all the way to the end of this race. You can go 73 laps on a tank of fuel. They are under that here now, so he has no worries about any type of pit stops. This is now going to be a mono as the caution's out.
And more contact you saw on screen there late between that of the 26 and Ali Fonseca. The 29, excuse me. Contact all around as they were entering turn 3, and then the exit. There was some madness as that of Noah Steele going to officially bring out the yellow for the 8. as the 8 machine just came into turn number 3 a little bit too aggressive for himself and making contact with that of Anthony Gaudio, bringing out the yellow. Was that a Noah Steele all the way back at 17th position? But then the aftermath of other contacts is where Ollie Fonseca got himself involved.
Yeah, it definitely was an interesting incident here. As we go back to the instant replay, we're going to get to see this from the 24's perspective as he comes into the picture here, as the 3 and the 8 make some contact up ahead of him. And I think the 24 just could not get woed up in time, as you see the 8 up there involved in that. But yeah, definitely a little bit of a mix up there, as I think the 3 just kind of missed the bottom just a little bit and got up into that 8 machine.
A little bit of everyone still searching for what they wanted, as out of the corner, that of Logan Breaking, Ollie Fonseca making their contact, as just not expecting to make their contact. So take another look at this incident. Now the 8 and the 3 incident happening behind these drivers. That's going to bring out the yellow. But then the contact out of 4 is what gets Ollie Fonseca spun around on the inside.
Yeah, so 2 kind of separate incidents there to kind of bring out that yellow. So definitely one of those things that, you know, you don't want to have happen, especially as the yellow flag is flying. So we'll see how the 24 can rebound from that, and also the 3 coming down the pit road along with the 8. So all 3 drivers involved, other than Logan Breaky, all here heading down the pit road to get some service done and most likely get some damage fixed. But the 24 there, I think he missed his box, guys. Kind of didn't notice where the box was and made a late turn there and almost got hit by the 3.
I've been watching a lot of the drivers throughout the field. Self-spinning has been the issue under pacing. Now they're trying to catch up to the lead pack, get into the brakes. I believe their brake biases for some of these drivers extremely low, so they're dealing with a lot of rear end slipping action when they get hard on the brakes. That's what we just saw there from the 24, as everyone's trying to get settled in. Still, we're past halfway, but I think a lot of the drivers kind of surprised. I know we were also at the booth when we saw the schedule, Zach. 140 laps, kind of on the shorter end of how many laps we've seen throughout this season.
Yeah, no, when I saw 140 laps, I said, man, it's going to be a quick night here for this championship battle, and that's kind of what it's playing into already. I mean, we're going to be coming by here to complete lap 79, so we're going to have 61 laps to go here, and we saw how fast the first 65 laps went by, and we had a few cautions in there to mix it in. So if we stay green, this championship's going to be decided very quickly, and I think that's what these guys want, though. They want this, the 77 and the 31, they want this to get going. They want to race each other, figure this out, and just see who can place themselves in the best position. And if something is to happen between these two, does it bring the 13 and the 4 back into the picture? We'll have to see. I mean, there's time, but not much time indeed.
A lot of different thoughts on how tonight's going to go down. Some were trying to figure out where they're going to be placing themselves. How do you react when, you know, all your planning kind of goes out the window? Well, to react as quick as possible for some of these drivers, they might want themselves an iFlag virtual flag system, as that is one of our main sponsors here at FreekyFast Broadcasting. iRacing iFlag has a patented iFlag virtual flag system that gives you clear indications on what the flag state is on track, as well as they've got themselves a digital pit board. Go use our promo code FreekyFast2022 to get your purchase here today, as 2022 is coming to a close very quickly. Got to use that promo code quickly as well. As drivers getting ready into the restart zone, Mark Whitley, Danny Cochran. Let's see how this duel's going to go again, as Danny getting a little bit of a better launch there, keeping a little bit closer and finds the gap. He's on the back bumper, and here we go, Zach. He's on the inside heading into turn number 1.
Yeah, the 77 opens up this inside, diving it down. Here's the 31. The outer groove has been the preferred way to make the passes happen, so I think the 77 is going to be clear, but the 31 giving them everything to think about there on that great restart. Really timed that one well there and stay close enough to even get to that quarter panel.
Right to the back bumper, does not get to the quarter panel, stay in sight. He's the 31 to the 77, and because of a great launch out of turn 4 into the dog leg, diving it down low, he's going to settle in behind is Danny Cochran and Mark Whitley. Mark dominated. He never had this fight in the first half of this race, and now he's got his first contender on that back bumper, and it's a championship driver. He needs to hold on, and here comes Danny, recognizing he needs to make this pass very quickly.
Yeah, I think that's going to be kind of in the agenda for the 31. He knows that it evens out. I'm sure with all the testing he has done this week, he's seen how fast the times can really even out. I think he's going to want to try to get this done quickly as you see how high he goes up the racetrack. I mean, that is a very unorthodox line here at Phoenix, but look at that cut down there on the late exit, just trying to get the best run off. So I like it. These guys have been really utilizing everything they've learned throughout the league to try to get in position to have the most speed here at the end when it counts.
And we're seeing all these different packs and little pods throughout this racing. But the driver that's stuck in the middle of one of these pods, you see him there. It's the 13 Hello Kitty machine. It's Cedric Hunter. He is trapped in 10th place and once again being heavily pressured by drivers that were major contenders in the playoffs earlier. But they are showing out that I don't care if you're a championship driver. I'm going to race you as hard as I've been all season long.
Yeah, no, these guys all here racing for their own races, and again, that's kind of like what I brought up earlier. You know, this is different than conventional sports where you're just, you know, fighting against your main competition. No, you got completely different group out here of drivers that are willing to really risk things that maybe you aren't willing to risk because you know what's on the line for you. So right there to 13, less than 24 by. This is not a good sign for him falling back to that 11th position. He cannot lose too much time because, again, like we were talking about, this race is going to go by super quickly here as they're completing lap 85 already. We're 55 laps to go in this race.
And I'm keeping my eye on our leaders. That of Danny Cochran was trying to stay on the back bumper as long as he could. But he's starting to lose a little bit of the touch to the rear end of the 77 of Mark Whitley. As you see the middle of the pack, lots of great racing of drivers that haven't really been in these positions most of this season. I mean, Martin Morales for the 91, this is probably one of his best runs he's had in the whole entire second half of the season for himself. In 6th place, been struggling just to make it to the end of these races, but right now has been watching a lot of other drivers have troubles. He got caught up with the incident with Christopher Norris in the first about 15 laps of this race, but ever since then, this 91 staying patient, staying settled, and the Green Ranger is up to 6th place.
Yeah, what a great job by Martin, man. Like you said, best run of the season probably for him so far, so we'll see if he can try to make something happen even with after that damage. So, but this little pod here, this group is battling hard. You got GT Azari, the 00, Ethan Smith, I mean, also the 24, the 11. Everybody battling hard. Is now Fonseca going to go to the inside, and GT says, man, go ahead and take that one because I'm going to back out of this situation. I've already been ran into before in this race, and now he's going to have the 13 coming in his mirror also there. And that's interesting because the 13 is the one that made contact with him early in the race.
I mean, for GT, he already had the wreck of the night on lap 1. He didn't even make the turn 1 for himself. He flipped, it was on his roof for a quick second, then landed on all 4, somehow has full power, and racing for 10th place. Now under fire from one of our championship drivers, drifts up, and Cedric Hunter to the inside of that of GT Irizarry. Irizarry, he has raced aggressive around playoff drivers throughout the round of 8 with Noah Steele. And now just going to give up that spot. Saw the nose of the 13 and said, all right, you go get it.
Yeah, I think that was very respectful from that 14. You know, he raced them as hard as he could, and then he noticed, you know, hey, the 13's got more pace than me right now. My truck has been completely flipped over here tonight, and getting close to the back bumper there, but did a good job of letting him go there, down 3 and 4, and letting him go and fight his own battle. So we'll see if the 13 can start to make up some ground here, but it's going to be an uphill battle, and he's definitely going to need some type of caution because he didn't have the pace, first of all, or he's going to need some type of incident between the top 2.
And Zach, officially, we can now count Nick Crawford out of the championship hopes. He had a very slim chance, but it is now official. The 4 blown engine, that of 8 laps ago. Nick Crawford is done. It's now just a 3-horse battle for the championship for Season 3.
Yeah, it's not surprising, you know, that damage to the right front. These trucks, the cooling on them is very sensitive. You get that damage there, and it can really have a hamper on the coolings of this truck. And it just seemed like as over time it built up, and he probably was going quicker than what he had been going the whole entire, you know, before from the damage because just how much downforce loss. He got a little bit of downforce back after they kind of worked on that truck a little bit. The speeds picked up. That means the RPMs pick up. And if you don't have the proper cooling with the right RPM, you are going to definitely blow that motor in. I mean, even he could have possibly been looking at shifting. I mean, there's definitely possibilities for shifting to work here tonight. It's just going to be the question of who can make it work the best, and you can't money shift it, as they say, because you can easily blow that motor. So tough break for Nick Crawford, who I know put a lot of work in here coming in tonight, but he'll be back. He'll be back better than ever next season.
He wants to see if he can fight and go for an opportunity. Tonight seems to be the night of redemption. Mark Whitley, who raced for a championship in Season 1, lost it to his ultimate rival of Vincent Sora. Danny Cochran raced and fought and threw practically everything out the window last season at Homestead and was not able to get the championship. Trenton Jump was the one who crowned last season. Trent Jump didn't make the Final Four, but now could the rookie of the 13, Cedric Hunter, he is in a bad spot as he's got a great battle in front of him. Logan Brakey, Ollie Fonseca, and Ollie is on the move for this 24. He certainly is trying to move up as fast as possible, but he's got some scrub marks, obviously some battle wounds. This is 91 of Mark Morales. He looked strong, he was in 6th place, but I think now we're starting to see that tire wear that the 91's been struggling with here ever since stage 1.
Yeah, that tire wear is starting to kick in now. The 00 going to look to the inside and see if he can make something work. And gotta say, Ethan Smith doing a good job there, even after that damage he received from that contact to his teammate's left front door. And looking at the truck myself, they did a good job of fixing it up. It's not the greatest fix up ever, if you would say, on iRacing, but it's definitely going to be decent enough to where he can make speed. And I think Martin Morales kind of doing the same thing with the center punch on the nose from his contact when Christopher Norris spun out. So it's very similar damage. And now that 00 by that 91, and he is luckily for his teammate John Forbes, he follows him right through.
And as long as you got full power, just buff it out and hope for the best. And you've got some fresh rubber underneath you, which these drivers, majority of them have only pitted once here tonight. They've only used 1 set of tires, so they've technically got 3 sets to work with in pit road. And Zach, we get a caution at any moment before the end of this race. I'm imagining everyone's coming in to get some tires.
Oh, no doubt. I think if you get a caution here within 5 laps, within 10 laps, within really any lap, we get a caution here and there's some time to come to pit road, you're going to be coming down the pit road because you know how vital it's going to be. And I mean, yeah, you could see some drivers maybe, do a little bit of strategy, stay out. But I think one thing we'll have to watch for, if we do get somewhat of a caution late in this race, who is going to be willing to risk it for 2 tires? Throughout the testing I did this week, the left sides did not wear too much. Yes, you did see a little bit of wear from them, but the wear was not very large. So, if you're going to be looking to do 2 tires, this would possibly be the place to do it. And especially usually 2 tires for the first 10 to 15 laps will free up that truck. And I know a lot of guys were talking about this truck being very, very tight on entry center. The one thing they will have to worry about, though, is those cold tires, because those cold tires will bite you very quickly. If your truck's already looser than it was before, you will have a very quick spin. So we'll see if someone looks to do some strategy like that later if we do get a caution. But at the moment, we're staying green.
Very aggressive deep dive by the 3 to hold off GT Azari as we are coming up. We are now officially on lap 100. Thank you for everyone that was tuning in from the start of the broadcast to now as you are watching that of the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series Season 3 finale of the FreekyFast finale here at that of Phoenix. It was 4 drivers racing for a championship. Mark Whitley, Danny Cochran, that of Cedric Hunter, and Nick Crawford. Nick Crawford gets bounced out in contact between himself and this 31 and Danny Cochran in the first 20 laps of this race. And since then, the 4 has been out of this. The 31, though, he's been our biggest mover of the night, tied with Ollie Fonseca up 11 positions for the both of them. But this 11, he's kind of hit his match. And Zach, this has been the troublesome spot for a lot of these front runners. Yes, you might be faster than the driver in front of you, but that pocket of air, it's just so detrimental for the 31.
It is so tough. Really that's what I learned in the testing also that I did is just clean air is valuable, my friends out there. I mean, it is, we've seen the 31 at the end of the last run. He was gaining some time on this 77, starting to close down the gap. He had about a 3-second gap in between him and Mark Whitley. There's not too much air that's still turbulent after that 3-second gap. You usually feel a pretty good bit of air on the nose when you have that size gap. The gap he has right here of only a couple tenths, right above a half a second. This is the worst. It gets worse, more worse as you get closer, but it's definitely not a preferred position, as they would say, as a driver to be right in the air of your competition, especially with this line they're running. It's running a very sweeping line, so you're cutting the dirty air not only from the top of the wall, but all the way down to the bottom. So you really can't find a safe space, as they would say, to find the clean air as you'd want to have. But I think the 31 here just needs to be patient. Don't overdrive your stuff. Try to stay within a good distance of them, and then try to make your march here as the run starts to click away. But as I say that, we're going to be here to 30 to go soon, and this race is just going to go by in a blink of an eye. So Danny Cochran's got to really weigh those options, and that's the toughest thing, in my opinion, as a driver, weighing when you need to go.
Well, if a caution does not come out, and if we see a lot of carnage, we saw it, these last couple of weeks, especially back in Indianapolis, there were a couple of admin thrown yellows. Well, if you are an admin or race control, you may need to be as quick on the trigger, and that means you might want a button box that allows you to work as quick as possible. And Zach, I know the admin box, one of the best boxes out there.
That it really is, Sam. Not only does it give you those driver functionalities like most of the button boxes out there, but like you said, it gives you that admin functionality to throw yellows, clear black flags, really just control a full race from your driver's seat. So if you want to go check that out, folks, go ahead on over to adminbox.com and you see the discount code there, FFB/BOXX, to get that discounted purchase. Trust us, you won't be disappointed because you're going to have race control right at your fingertips.
And with the year coming to a close, and if you want your present to show up on time, hey, make sure you get all of those amazing products from that of iRacing, iFlag, and the admin box. But for us here at FreekyFast Broadcasting, it's the winter season. Get yourself some hoodies, t-shirts for when winter is gone and spring is around the corner. Hey, amazing gifts. Get yourself a FreekyFast Broadcasting merch, t-shirts, hoodies, in many different colors and sizes to make sure it fits you. Thank you to everyone that's been supporting us this year. It's crazy to think the year is almost over, and a lot of our leagues that we've covered throughout the year are closing. This is the last race of the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series for the year. Championships are on the line, and you're seeing the battle of the front two currently. Mark Whitley, Danny Cochran, the gap, half a second between them both. But Zach, we also have one more series that we cover that's almost done with the year. Going to be that of tomorrow night. Their season very close to the end.
That it is, man. They got some interesting races left too there at Richmond and Las Vegas there at the Full Sin Racing Series. And I'll tell you what, folks, you're not going to want to miss that, as they got to crown a championship just like this here tonight. And it's going to be just as great in the Xfinity car, so a little bit different spin to that, but it's going to be fun because, man, those guys are a great group of guys, just like this truck series here on Monday. So it's been amazing, man. 2022 is going by in a blink of an eye. We want to thank especially all y'all for tuning in here tonight, but not only that, but tuning in throughout the whole year. I mean, it's just been a wide variety of viewers, drivers, leagues, races. I mean, it's been a blur pretty much, and I cannot wait to get back into it here in 2023.
And the FreekyFast content also about to be shipping out. With the off season for us here for doing live broadcasts are coming to a close. Doesn't mean we don't have content on the shoot coming your way. We're going to be having that of the November and December, collaborating them together. There just wasn't a lot of races that happened week in, week out. So we're going to combine both that of November and December together. That will be later on in the month, as well as episode 4 and 5 of the long run, the behind the scenes of this series that you're watching right now, of how the drivers' playoffs have been going. Episode 4 expected to go out sometime at the end of the week or even next week, as we are watching that of Cedric Hunter. He's moved up a handful of positions here, Zach, but 8th place is not good enough. He's 7 seconds off of Mark Whitley.
Yeah, he is just not had it tonight, and I know this was a worry of his coming in here tonight. You know, a very close friend of mine here, Cedric, and he knew this race was probably not going to go that well for him. We did some practice, and it just didn't seem to be flowing with him, I guess you could say. You know, just certain tracks for certain drivers, it just never works out for him. I mean, this is a track where, in my opinion, you need to have speed right out the get-go if you want to be quick here. And that's not what he's possessed all season. All season long, he's been one of the drivers that's really possessed a good long-run truck. And here tonight, the times even out so quickly that it just doesn't work out in his favor, and even he struggled a little bit on the long runs. I think it's just been a little bit of a head-scratcher for him as he came into this week, but he knew his chances were not the greatest, so I think he won't be too surprised by this performance. But, and again, saying that, it's not over yet. If Cochran gets up to the 77, something happens between those two, you never know, it might open the door for him. So he's got to stay with it here and just run out the laps.
Could there be a late caution? Again, we do have 3 attempts at overtime if needed. And for Danny Cochran at this current moment, he needs a caution bad. And if we're going to see one, this battle right now could be where we see it, as Anthony Gaudio trying to figure out how to get by the 8 of Noah Steele, and as well trying to get by that of Mark Morales Jr. Mark Morales still holds side by side as they go into turn number 1. This is battling happening for that of 10th, 11th, and 12th, all trying to get that 10th place finish. They want that final stat, and still Mark Morales Jr. fighting right on back with a 3.
Yeah, what a crossover there from the 91 machine. He used that top side to his advantage. And I think that's the one thing that's caught me off guard the most tonight from the booth. And there it is, the contact. The 91 goes around, and that is the caution. Wow, Sam, you called that.
If we were going to see it, it was right there. We saw the aggressive driving from the 3 that had 20 laps ago. Well, he gets overzealous there with the 91. The 91 fighting and clawing for everything. And the late caution, as we're now going to be with the 20 lap to go marker when we go green again. Zach, this could be the money stop. You've got to hit your mark coming into pit road now.
Yeah, I think this is, where the demons start to come in, as they would say, as a driver. You know how detrimental pit road can be. You know where mistakes can happen. This could be what it's all about. Mark Whitley, Danny Cochran, you have to be completely clean here when you get to pit road. You got to make sure you get to your box, don't slide through it, and you got to have a good pit stop at that. And that is where it's out of your hands, and it's all up to your pit crew. This one, like you said, could be that money stop. We'll see who comes off pit road first, because track position is everything here at Phoenix.
Cedric Hunter, he has to take 2. This is the only way he's going to have a chance for a championship. He has to take 2 tires. The question is, what will Mark Whitley and that Danny Cochran go with? Danny into his pit box. He's got the earliest one of them all. He will take 4 tires and fuel for the 31 machine, as he's going to be good. Mark Whitley sees the right sides go up, but will Hunter only take his right sides, or will he take all 4?
It's the big question, and it looks like, from what I'm seeing, he's taking 4 tires. Didn't look to risk it, but I think Danny Cochran won the race off of pit road.
He did. He had over that of a half a second faster than Mark Whitley, and he'll have the lead here on the restart.
This opens up the door for everything. I tell you what, and Whitley spun the tires a lot. Luckily for him, I think he holds on this second just because of his last pit stall. But man, oh man, Danny Cochran right here might have been gift wrapped a present. This is his chance to shine, folks, and we'll see, can the 31 Larry's Art Productions machine look to get to victory lane to get that championship that has eluded him so far.
Danny Cochran, for this 31 machine, this is all that he needed, was a good pit stop, and he performed. Mark Whitley, we look at the playoffs, that has been his crutch. All playoffs long has been pit road mistakes for himself. You think back to Indianapolis, that was the most recent time that we saw Mark Whitley. He slid through his box and put him back and forth, and then he got caught up in a wreck. He's not all the way back and forth. He's at least in the front row, but Zach, second place is still a tough place to be, especially if Cody Reed gets a good time to restart with that 31.
Yeah, man, that is exactly what I'm thinking. This 77 cannot lose second. That has got to be the #1 priority on Mark Whitley's list right now. Do not lose second. And the biggest thing I look at, that last little run right there, Whitley and them stayed at about a half a second gap. It stayed there in that zone there for about 20 to 30 laps almost. This is exactly what Danny Cochran needed. I mean, if he can get the restart of his life in hopes that Cody Reed can get it with him, then this is just an open playground for him to run away with this. This could be a shot. And, man, I tell you what, the nerves right now. As just being a driver myself and being in situations such as this is when the nerves start to kick in. Your palms start sweating. Your heart starts racing. Every situation is running through your mind. The whole season at that point is too. This is going to be very spicy, folks.
We got 3 drivers still racing for a championship. Mark Whitley, Danny Cochran going to be our front 2 drivers. Both have raced multiple seasons in the ISRC Truck Series. Danny Cochran is racing every season so far. You look at the stats, they are incredible to think about in the career-wise. He has got that of 3. He's 3rd in poles. He's tied for 2nd in wins, to that of 2nd in that of top 5s. He is so crazy to think how much Danny Cochran has been putting in to his ISRC career. But the one thing that he's been missing is the championship. And Zach, he's in the best spot to do it against a driver that came back. He missed season 2. He's here for a championship as well.
That he is, man. This is what it's all about here, Sam. We'll see how this restart works out for the 31 machine.
Here we go. It is going to be a 20-lap shootout. Will we get another caution? Let's find out. We're green for the FreekyFast finale here at Phoenix. Danny Cochran, a spectacular finish. Cody Reed side by side for 2nd as they head down into turn #1.
What a start for the 31 and the 25, now trying to slide up in front of that 77. I think he's going to have the preferred group up top, so he might be able to get this pass done. But this gives the breathing room that the 31 wanted.
Oh,
and
GT spins around. Yellow flag comes out, and Mark Whitley holds for 2nd as the 14 snowballed incidents carry on.
Oh, man, this right here just makes it even more nerve-wracking. If you're Whitley, you're saying this is taking away laps that need to set him up, because I'm gonna tell y'all right now, pass here at Phoenix is gonna be very tough. So this caution here has shook things up, sent it sideways, but I'll tell you what else got sent sideways was GT Irizarry there, as he had an incident back there on this latest restart. And I think it was just them cold tires maybe taking effect.
A little bit loose, and it just drifts away for the 14 as GT is going to bring out another yellow for himself. Whew. Calm down, reset, and the laps just dwindled down. And if anything, there's been talking of drivers on how do you want to attack these last couple of laps. If you're in an opportune chance, do you take the respectful route of taking a loss for a championship, or do you go all the way? You fight for everything, put it all on the line. And a lot of drivers I've been watching, they've been practicing that turns 3 and 4 dive bomb move where you practically just use up the other driver. I'm curious if Mark practiced it, because I know Danny did, and I've heard Danny say he's willing to do anything for this championship.
Yeah, I've heard that from other drivers also involved in this. So, yeah, I know the willingness is there from the 31 side. And, you know, I also think, do we see a major move down in the 1 and 2? I know it's going to be tough. There's a huge apron there that gives you the opportunity to do something, but it's just going to be tough for Whitley to do that if he's up top. So if he was to restart third, I think you might see him try that slide job move, as they would say. You know, go straight to the apron, slide all the way up, try to take the advantage, and then have the outside groove coming off of the turn for the fight down into 3 and 4. But man, I tell you, this is nerve-wracking time. This is where you get paid, and this is how you make your championship, because it's going to be all about these restarts. The 77 has to do exactly what he did last time. He had a subpar restart, but not bad enough to where the 25 was able to clear him. If the 25 clears him, that changes everything. That just puts it in the hands of the 31 not to make a mistake, in my opinion, just because it's so tough to pass. That the way the groove is here, you're going to have to do something major, and I think we haven't seen no one elect to do that, dive bomb move down into turn 1 here with this apron, but I think with people going up high, running that third groove there and cutting it down, it gives you the opportunity for a very big slide job there. I think the 77, if anything, is going to have to do something there on the bottom and try to make it work, but we've seen the night. Passing has been so tough and so much at a premium that you got to get everything out of these restarts to be in a close enough distance to even try it.
Fight and claw for everything as Danny Cochran, Mark Whitley, Cedric Hunter, Nick Crawford, the 4 drivers that entered tonight as your championship 4. None of them have won a championship in this series. The past champion, season 1, it was the duel, the rivalry between Mark Whitley and Vincent Sora, and the kid Vinny got the championship in season 1. Season 2 was an absolute blast and pleasure to call, watching that Trent jump, Danny Cochran and Ethan Smith fight, claw, beat, and bang, and it was Trent jumping in the championship. Here tonight, it has been all Mark Whitley. This pass made under pit road. Danny Cochran finally in a position to potentially win in the final 20 laps of this race. The 31, he is trying to go for a championship that has been lingering, and he's been wanting for 3 seasons. Could the 3rd season finally be it? As Mark Whitley took a season off, he came back, 1 goal. It was a championship, and Cedric Hunter has moved up to 6th. That 13 is slowly chipping away here, Zach.
Yeah, if he can get in a little bit better spot, gain a few more positions, be on the back bumper of these guys, he's going to have a good shot at this also. So we'll see how it all works out, folks. Buckle up, because it's going to be the ride of our lives.
You saw there were plenty of different scenarios on how this championship could finish. I don't think we could have settled for this or had any idea it was going to be like this. But we're back to Green Flag Racing. 16 laps to go. Danny gets a great launch, but Mark, a much better, cleaner run. Cody's nowhere close to be found. It's between the 2 up front.
Yeah, and here we go, dive down to the inside from the 77, but I think he's not going to have the drive he needs as the 31 up top holds that upper groove. The 77 almost still to the quarter panel here as they race down to 3 and 4.
Now that's Mark Whitley. He's going to try to get the quarter panel, but a dive bomb move by the 31, holding off for the lead, recognizing he needs to get rolling. Once these tires are heated up, that lead position, the fresh air, it's just too strong. Mark Whitley has not been in this position all night long. 15 to go. Who's getting the championship? Mark's going to dive it into the corner, almost drifts that rear end. Again, he has not been in this scenario yet, Zach, but Mark knows he needs to make this pass quick.
It is heating up in the desert, folks. Here's when we come into 14 to go when they come out of turn 4 here. Cochran a little bit deep down into 3 and 4. He's going to have to watch out for that. He cannot give this 77 the run heading down the 1. That's where he's going to have to defend his best. But right here, pulls a gap by going on that dog leg. And I'm surprised Whitley has not really been utilizing that dog leg. He's been staying away from it. The 31 has been one of the ones really utilizing it, and it works to his advantage here as he holds the gap.
Well, I'm curious for that of the 77 Mark Whitley. Could it be the fact that he's being a little skittish, because we've seen in other cars that dogleg be so detrimental, such in the next-gen Cup car, how it's just been aggressive and beating and banging. The 77 finally goes down, but it's too late. The gap is already built, and the dive bomb move, Mark just sends it into turn 1.
Yeah, just not close enough for that. I don't understand that move there. That was... You know, it somewhat worked decently because it didn't allow the 31 to cut down the racetrack like that line opportunity-wise does. But you got to be a little bit closer, wait for that move, and now the 31 knows that that could be coming, and he can look to defend that possibly here. But, you know, with how big the gap is right there, you see how much time he loses off of 4. It's tough to try to do that when you're that far back. You need to be right on the bumper when you attempt something like that, and he almost, I mean, he got completely side by side with him, but just lost a lot of momentum coming off of 2.
Oh, was that move too soon, or could say it was too late because of how much of that gap was, but now utilizing so much of the tires, that rear end just not happy for Mark Whitley, and he's finally getting a taste of the dirty air that the 31 has been dealing with for the majority of this race. Mark dominated, and once again could be seeing a race thrown away because of pit road incidents.
Yeah, it really could be all about pit road here that made the difference. And you know, all night long we talked about how track position, dirty air, all that is such a key factor. I think that is the one thing that the 77 has kind of struggled with. When he runs these races out front, leads all these laps, he gets back in this dirty air. It's tough to figure out what to do there. You haven't been put in this position yet. You haven't felt your truck drive like this, so you're trying to find every little thing. And I'm telling you, he's sliding the rear end on entry, sliding through the center. He's trying everything in his power, but the 31's driving away.
Trying to drive away and drive for a championship. He thought he had it in his clutches last season, but it was in the final 7 laps when Trent Jump recovered and came back to make the pass over the 31 in the 00. But that final 7 laps been haunting Danny Cochran. He's had some woes throughout the season. He struggled so much in the first half. He was struggling just to finish inside of the top 15 at times, and now makes the playoffs, makes his way with the win at that Road America to place himself into the round of 8, and just performed, succeeded, and now with a chance to win the championship. 8 to go for that 31.
Yeah, and the gap continues to grow for him. This is what he loves to see. The one thing he doesn't want to see is any type of yellow flag or stoppage to this race, because that right there brings it right back in the playing field where the 77 has a shot. And right now, he's just doing what he needs to, driving away, driving as hard as he possibly can here. And with 7 laps to go when he crosses the line, Danny Cochran looking to be a first-time champion. What a drive this would be for him, as they're really botching that qualifying run, to come back from that and make up time at a tough racetrack like this where it's very tough to pass.
One of the few drivers that has raced both in season 1, 2, and 3, and he has certainly been fighting. He only made it to the round of 8 won that first season, made it to the round of 4, thought he could clinch that championship after a dominant runs that he has had. He had his reputation tarnished with some of the moves that he made last season. He's been trying to save it. He's been trying to wipe away those smudge marks. This 31 tried to keep his nose clean for majority of the season, but tonight got a little bit messy for himself again, and that messiness took out one of his top contenders, and then a pit road incident helps the 31 get the lead. Danny's loving what he's seeing now, who had the worst qualifying run of all the Final 4 drivers, all the way back to 13th to start this race off. Well, with 5 to go, he's in the catbird seat to win this thing.
That he is, and it's just showing again. Look at this clean air. It is so valuable, my friends out there. Literally, we've seen the 77 go from being the dominant truck all night long, leading so many laps, now stuck in that dirty air. It just seems like a completely different driver behind the wheel. And that's nothing to do with Mark. That's all about how valuable it is to get out front and get it done. You got to be so much quicker than the person ahead of you if you want to make up that difference.
But Zach, again, we threw it out there. The opportunity of a caution is still here, and where it could happen is the battle for third. Ollie Fonseca, one of the bigger movers of the night. Same with Danny. He's battling with Cody Reed, and these are two drivers fighting for some of their best finishes of the season. And Ollie's already gotten a win. Cody's been searching for that first win, but these are two drivers willing to throw it all away in these late couple of laps to try to get the best finish possible.
Oh, and they're almost leaning on each other. This is not what the 31 wants to see. I mean, he's not looking in his mirror at all. He's looking to just do what he can. And, oh, man, Mark Whitley just threw the whole white flag out right there because he just went completely to the bottom, guys. And I don't know. That move was interesting for sure with 3 to go. I think he was going to see if it works. But still, that battle with Fonseca and Reed as he clears them is still very much the thing that could be what brings this race to a yellow and could bring it to a standstill. But right now, Cochran, he just needs 2 more clean laps.
1 lap, get the white flag, and you don't have to worry about a caution. Then you just got to worry about making it around the corners. He has been battling for all this time on his 53rd start. That of Danny Cochran just needs 1 more time around this lap, and he will be a champion.
That he will be, Sam, and it looks like here he's going to get the look up to the flag stand and get that white flag.
This is it, the FreekyFast final flag for these drivers. It's your Ride Rad white flag for these drivers for the FreekyFast finale. It has been incredible to watch all the drama, all the spills, all the thrills, and Mark Whitley does 1 more dive bomb. It wasn't enough. Danny hits the backstretch. He'd been fighting. He'd been going for it. And now he can say for season 3 for the 31, the Larry Art Productions 31 machine is a champion of the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series.
What a job by Danny, but oh man, behind him, Mark Whitley gets wrecked by Reed as Fonseca takes second and Forbes takes home third.
And just like that, a madhouse on how it's going to finish at the end. And drivers that have been practicing with one another, giving some contacts, a little bit of bumps, a little bit too much. But man, what a run by Danny Cochran. A championship run, you could say, Zach. With the way that he climbed through the field and then placed himself in the right position at the end. I mean, that's how you finish out the end of this season.
That it is, man. He worked so hard to get in that position, got the lead from pit road, and did the work from there. And man, what a job by him. This has definitely been a redemption season for the 31. Changed the number up, and it's all changed around.
And all of that woes that he's had of being the team wrecker, being the driver that would intentionally wreck anybody. He did make contact, the wrecked out Nick Crawford, made it just a 3-horse race at the end of the night. But Danny Cochran gets to burn it down, gets to say he's a champion. All the work and time he put in was worth it, as he is your Season 3 champion. For us, though, up in the booth, we're not done just yet. We've got that of the post-race show. We will be back in just a few moments. We'll talk to our top 3, and we'll talk to the champ. We'll be back in just a few. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show here on FreekyFast Broadcasting for the FreekyFast finale of the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. Big thanks to that of Race Car Graveyard, as they have announced they are coming back for Season 4 of the ISRC Truck Series. They've been here since Season 1, and it's great to have them back for that other Race Car Graveyard. But for the post-race show, let's start things off. Third place finisher John Forbes to get his thoughts on the end of this race. John, it's Sam and Zach up at the booth. Congratulations on a top 3 finish, and congratulations on rebounding after that spin that you had. But how are you feeling after this one?
Yeah, just happy to sum it up with a third place. It was all right, just a mediocre season, just made too many mistakes. So happy to end it with a third. But yeah, definitely looking for more next year.
Well, John, I tell you what, buddy, a good way to end it all for yourself here this season for sure. I mean, how do you feel like you can take this into the next season? I know this season probably wasn't what you wanted, and you want to come back stronger than ever. How do you feel you can rebound from the season?
I just need to work on the mistakes. Maybe just put in a little more time and practice into it if I really want to be very competitive again, like last season. And I want revenge for that, for what happened last season. I've made it to the championship 4 and just haven't even gotten to fight for it yet. So I'm just really driven by that. And next season, I really want to get there.
I mean, John, next season, I know there's going to be quite a bit of a break, unlike what we just had for this past season. It was only a week break before we got back in the season. How are you feeling like you can take this off season to get prepared for the next?
Yeah, just gonna be putting a lot of time into different series and stuff. Just kind of enjoying it, enjoying the off season. I feel like the break from last season was too short. Like you just had no time to think about it, and it just started right back up. So I really want to take advantage of that for this off season and just feel completely refreshed and renewed for next season.
Well, John, again, congratulations on third place. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I want to thank all friends and family that have been watching all season and all for the support. Yeah, just looking forward to next year. And I want to thank you guys for the great broadcasts every week. And yeah, have a great night. I want to just congratulate Danny on that championship. It was super cool to see. Did a lot of practice with him and stuff this season. So it was awesome to see it pay off for a good friend.
As that is going to be the 11 machine of John Forbes from Blackjack Racing. Congratulations on a third place finish. Enjoy your off season and good luck into season 4.
Thanks, guys.
As we go from third place, we had a second where the drivers have been practicing with one another all season long, but a driver that had fought, clawed, and our 2 biggest movers of the night finished 1-2, and we got second place with us. Ollie, it's Sam and Zach up at the booth. Congratulations on second place, and also congratulations on being the biggest mover of the night.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't even really think about that.
Well, Ollie, I tell you what, man, a wild ending there. Take us through that battle at the end, because you were battling Cody Reed, and it all went sideways with them going down into the 3 there for the final time.
Yeah, I mean, I was just I cleared Nolan on the restart, and I was just trying to run him down, and I gave him everything I had. I mean, props to Cody. He did a phenomenal job trying to keep me behind him. I mean, I did absolutely everything I could. And with 1 or 2 to go, tires were smoked. John was catching us. I thought it was pretty much over. I didn't really have much for him. And then, I saw Mark getting desperate, and I guess, Cody got into him, and I just kind of snuck by, and, I'll take it any way I can get it.
I mean, Ollie, you really showed off on what you had throughout this playoffs. You were one of the strongest drivers after being knocked out. How do you take this playoff performance and try to carry that over to the next season?
Really just limiting the personal mistakes. I mean, every race, there was something. But Rockingham was, when you're going into Talladega, only 1 point above the cutoff, it is what it is. If it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be, and it just wasn't. So that's on me for spinning on my own at Rockingham. But after I got knocked out, I just kind of put my head down and put more practice in than ever, because I want to show up and show these guys that I belong in the playoffs, whether I'm in them or not. So
you certainly did perform here of late, and it really was fantastic for us to watch up at the booth. Congratulations on second place here tonight. And before we let you go, Ollie, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, absolutely. congrats, Danny Cochran, my new teammate for the next season. I'm stoked. It's technically a Larson line 1-2, so you really couldn't ask for much more there. I'm so happy for him. He earned it. He's been wanting this so bad for a long time. So really cool to see him get it done. All my family and people that watch me every night, thanks so much. This is for you. This is why I put in the practice and the time and the hours. So, I don't do this to run in the back. My spotter, crew chief Brandon, always got to give him a shout out. He did a great job tonight, especially bringing me in for 4 after I got spun, and I just put my head down and drove through the field again. So that was a good call for him. And just everyone who watches this broadcast, supports us, guys. Shout out to you guys, and thanks for watching.
Well, that is going to be your second place finisher here tonight, the 24 of Ollie Fonseca. Congratulations, Ollie, on second place. Enjoy your off season. We'll see you in season 4.
Thanks, guys.
As we go from second place, it's time for us to talk to the driver that worked his way, did not have the qualifying run that he wanted, but after tonight's stats, a total of 20 starts, 3 wins at that of Las Vegas, Road America, tonight at Phoenix, 7 top 5s, 13 top 10s, and now you can say a first-time champion of the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series for Season 3. It's the 31 of Danny Cochran. Danny, you're a champion. How are you feeling?
Shaking, man. Oh, my gosh. Wanted it for 3 seasons. Came up short in the first 2. It is awesome that we were able to pull it off. After, everything that happened last season, a whole lot of drama, nonsense, all that stuff. We were on the rebound this season, had a pretty shaky start, a bunch of DNFs, bunch of wrecked race cars. Man, it is so awesome and so cool that we were able to kick things up in the playoffs and kind of be able to contend with Mark at these, the end of these races. And, all the other guys, everybody's been really fast all season. It's been so competitive, man. But, just being able to keep up with these guys and, being able to strike when the moment presents itself, it's really sweet, man. It's great.
Well, I tell you what, buddy, cherish it, Danny. Congrats on the championship, man. This was definitely your redemption arc for sure this season, and it all finished out in the perfect way for yourself. And, got the lead off of pit road. Take us through how valuable that clean air was, because once you got it, it just wasn't going away.
I mean, I think it kind of speaks for itself the way the whole night went. And I'm not taking anything away from Mark and his pace that he had, but you drive all the way through the field, and for a while there, I was running down Mark whenever he was ahead of me, and I got to second. But, even when you're similar on speed, maybe just a hair faster, you can't do anything in that dirty air. I've whined and moaned about it all season long, or at least in the long run episodes. But, it's great to come out on top of it for once, man. Just having some clean air and actually being able to turn your race car, it makes the difference. It absolutely means everything to be able to, hit your corner entries, because in dirty air, I ain't got to tell you guys this, better than anybody, but in dirty air, on entry, you don't have any downforce on your nose, so you don't have any extra help turning, but you're still burning the right front tire. And on exit, you don't have any downforce on your nose once again, but you're still burning the rear tire. So all you're doing is burning your tires, but not being able to catch the leader. And having that clean air after that last pit stop, it meant everything.
I mean, Danny, I think the funnest part, yes, you winning the championship, getting the pass under pit road, but I got to say, the funnest part of the night was watching you just climb through the field at the start of this race. But we have to go back to the incident, you and that of Nick Crawford. What was going on in that scenario? And I know after the fact, you kind of survived, but man, what was going on there?
It was just a sense of urgency and maybe driving over my head a little bit. I hate that it happened, especially to Nick, man. I don't know. I know you guys know him pretty well. He is just the nicest guy on and off the racetrack. And I just hate that it happened with him, man. I'm thrilled that I won the championship. I wish it would have went a little bit differently with him. I wish I could have, I feel like we were faster, and I guess I should have been a little bit more patient to try and get around him cleanly. I feel awful about it, though.
Well, Danny, I know it's a tough moment. It's the one rough patch of the night for yourself, but you are the champion. I know you got some people you want to thank, so the floor is now yours for anybody you got to thank for yourself.
Well, first and foremost, my sponsors, Logan's Lead and Larry with Larry Arts Productions. He was on the truck tonight. It was really cool being able to get it done with him on the hood. And we had an agreement. It started at Road America. I hadn't really said anything about it to anybody, but he sent me a picture during qualifying. He was eating a steak, and he was like, maybe it's good luck. Well, Road America, unfortunately, once again, it's Nick Crawford. He disconnects. I take the lead, and we're able to hold on to it till the end of the race. He does it again at Nashville Fairgrounds. I don't win, but I finish second. So, that's still pretty good. Can't complain with that. No stake for Indy, no stake for Wilkesboro, but I'm telling you, I'm not a superstitious guy, but me and him, we both had steak for dinner today, and we won the championship. I'm not saying that's the reason why, but, I'm just saying these things. I don't know.
Well, it certainly is a good meal to have for yourself as a champion. It's got to be feeling good even now. Danny, congratulations on the hard-fought redemption arc that you had this season and all the woes you've had in the beginning portions to now. Congratulations once again, your Season 3 champion, the 31 machine from Larson Line Racing, Danny Cochran. Congratulations, Danny. Enjoy this off-season, and good luck defending this in Season 4.
Thanks, guys. Oh, and real quick, I forgot. It just kind of slipped my mind for a second with all the emotion and whatnot. Shout out to my teammates at Larson Line. Those guys, especially Ollie, he's joining us next season. Been practicing with him, Cody, Ethan, John sometimes. We've all been practicing a bunch these last few weeks, and I feel like it's really made me faster and really put me in contention to win. So I want to thank those guys as well. The admins for making this possible. Those guys, they do a ton of hard work. I know it can't be easy. And lastly, you guys for putting on an awesome show week in and week out. And I promise I'm finished.
Oh, man. Well, you put on a great show. It allows us to put on our best as well. Thank you so much for a great season, Danny. Congratulations, and enjoy this offseason.
Thank you, guys.
As that is your winner and champion this season. What a race. What a night. A lot of highs. You thought it was all Mark. Even the chat thought it was all Mark for the longest point, but they're late. The mistakes came up, and it's Danny Cochran getting the win as Ollie Fonseca is going to get second. John Forbes gets third. Cody Reed gets fourth. Cedric Hunter moves up to fifth as Nolan Hicks gets sixth. Ethan Smith gets seventh. Logan Brakey eighth. And Mark Whitley, after a late collision between himself and Cody Reed, falls all the way down to ninth with Noah Steele finishing on our top 10. But Zach, I know for the 4, this was not the night that he wanted.
Yeah, man. I know he put so much preparation in this race. I was doing some laps with him myself, and I feel heartbroken for him because he just would have wanted it. If you're gonna lose a race and not win a championship, you just kind of want it to play out like you would want it, and lose it just off a raw pace. And which, I'm not saying he would have had, what kind of shot he would have had. We didn't really get to see because it was about 30 laps into the race, but just a tough break for him. I know he's got to feel heartbroken after tonight. I know, it's so tough when you come in these all or nothing races, man. You put everything on the line as a driver. You prepare as much as you possibly can, and then something just goes sideways for you that, you don't want to have happen. It's just unfortunate. And again, like I said earlier in the race, when it happened, it was just a straight up racing incident between those two. I mean, it was, Danny said he might have been driving a little bit over his head. He was going for the position. You're trying to make up time. You go for the spot, but it's just unfortunate. I know both of them didn't want to be involved in it. Cochran came out on the good side, Crawford not. But, that is racing, in my opinion, and that's just how it's going to happen.
There's always winners and losers, and just like that, 4 drivers entered. A total of 43 driven at some point this season. 20 races in total. And now we have the one driver that is our champion, that of your Season 3 champion, Danny Cochran. Congratulations on winning. And Zach, this is another league down. Just one more to go. That's full send Tuesday nights. Only 2 more races for themselves. We got tomorrow is our next broadcast for those drivers, as they're going to be at Richmond before we have Las Vegas next week to finish out before we get our break here at the broadcast booth. But man, Zach, your final thoughts before we call it a night here for the ISRC Truck Series.
Well, what a season. Ups and downs, bumps and bruises, drama moments, great moments. I mean, it's all over the place here on Monday nights. I've had a pleasure to call it alongside you, Sam, and also Robert doing the fantastic job he does up in the booth. I mean, it really is a pleasure, and it's been a great ride up to this point. And man, I tell you, is it being my last call of the year for me? I'm going to take this time off, try to come back better than ever, and do, what we do here at FreekyFast and put out some of the best content out there in sim racing. And, I got to credit you and Robert both, Sam, for doing what you guys do to make FreekyFast what it is. So it's been a pleasure to be a part of, and I cannot say this enough. Cannot wait for 2023 to come around, because I know once we get this little bit of time off, we get our batteries recharged and get that enthusiasm, like we always try to bring every night. It'll just gain that much more, in my opinion, when you take that time off, just because you get that bit in your teeth to try to get back into the thing that you love doing. And I definitely enjoy this. So can't wait to see how it all shakes out, man. And then Tuesday night, like you said, we got those left. So make sure you folks out there who are still tuning in, go tune in on Tuesday nights. They got 2 races left that are going to be very major moments, and cannot wait to be a part of those.
Those drivers have been willing to beat and bang, throw out those elbows, and go for every position. Tuesday's going to be a fun one. But, man, what a season. We had drivers entering in. Expectations were to win a championship, but only one driver can get it done, and it's Danny Cochran, who's up there in some of the most starts in ISRC history. 3 seasons down, 4th one on the way again. The title sponsor, who's been here for all 3 seasons, are coming back for a 4th. That of Race Car Graveyard is coming back for the ISRC Truck Series. Also, big thanks to all the other sponsors that made this season work for the Truck Series. That of LP24 Clothing, the qualifying sponsor of the Laugh Lap on Instagram, our Stage Rig sponsor and sponsor of the driver that won here tonight. That of Larry Art Productions on YouTube and all socials, and other major sponsors of Morecast, Color Teal Graphics, and 213 Simware. And for us here at FreekyFast Broadcasting, we got to give big thanks to our major sponsors as well, that of iRacing, iFlag, the admin box, and as well merch that you can go check out in the chat that is there. Go purchase for the holiday season. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. There was drama. You thought it was Mark Whitley, but at the end, a clutch pit stop by the 31. He finds himself getting the championship done. Congratulations once again for Danny Cochran on becoming a first-time champion for this series. But for tonight, for us at the broadcast booth, for myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else here at FreekyFast Broadcasting, thank you for joining us. Tomorrow night, more racing action for the Full Send Racing Series. Their cutoff race. Who's racing for a championship in that series? Gotta find out. We'll see you on our next broadcast.